my brethren kind and good. So I'll keep moving on. I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow.
Oh yes, my straight dog family. All we gotta do is the things we should be to others kind and good. And time for me to say greetings to the world. And in the process, I must apologize for our late start tonight. That's all my fault. All my fault. Just lazing around and not checking the time. So I do humbly, profusely apologize. And I must also apologize for our mix-up on Thursday gone. Because I had to make an impromptu call, an impromptu departure, I should say. And did apologize in advance, but some perhaps didn't read the messages. But again, I apologize. But let me say greetings to the world, because we are on the World Wide Web. And we reach and communicate with you all over the globe. Some of you are in Africa. There's some of you in the Kittian, Nevian, and Caribbean diaspora in Europe. And there are some of you in Asia. And I know there are a whole lot of you all over North America. But let me say a very pleasant night, first of all, to St. Kitts and Nevis and to the entire Caribbean region. And welcome all to Straight Talk. And thank those who share the link. Anytime you do, we get first-timers. And for the first-timers, just to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on issues of national, regional, and international interests, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. We provide you access to discuss them freely. And on this program, we try as well to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness. We try to raise the level of national, regional, and international discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I thank Almighty God for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, on yet another occasion. And for the first timers, I want to inform you as well that on this program, absolutely nothing is watered down. We never try to make it interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We are not about creating sensationalism or as a matter of fact, try to create excitement. Because if we do that, we will have, I'm sure, to execute that at the expense of accuracy. And we are not going to do that, my Straight Talk family. Because we are all about the unvarnished truth. We lean on the facts, as it's my bounden duty to present the truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance in St. Kitts and Nevis, in the region, and all around the world. Because on this program, we're joined together with people all across the Federation. We are joined with people in the diaspora all around the world. And some we know very well, some we do not know and may never, ever meet them physically. We do meet, I'm sure, spiritually on most occasions. And some will agree with the positions of truth that we advance here on Straight Talk, and some will disagree. And that's fine, because we are a different people. We come from different walks of life, from different countries all over the world. So we entertain what I call a diversity of views, or diverse views. But please don't sad me and come and become disagreeable. In the meantime, let's thank Almighty God nonetheless for helping us to understand, oh how pleasant, oh how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us therefore hope and pray for that day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks one more time for those who share the link and bring first-timers. Please continue to do so. I must always remind you as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. And by that I mean we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. You're one who like what I call the cloak of anonymity, then that address, that email access, or that email address is on your screens as well. And let me clarify something, my Straight Talk family. Now, before that, let me welcome my Straight Talk Junior Brigade. It's imperative that I do each time. Tristan, Young Dwayne, Jasmine, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Travis, Travon, my grandson Neymar, Saraya, Elizabeth, and that special lady in St. Louis. We also have our observations as well, but we will forego the observations because I want to first clarify some matters. You keep asking, and I said to you, yes, Straight Talk will continue. I must clarify one more time that Straight Talk will continue on this forum on Monday and Thursday nights. But at some stage, we may miss a Monday and a Thursday night, but you will be given advance notice. And those who are calling and asking about Straight Talk and demanding certain things, I appreciate that. But I want you to demand one thing for me on Straight Talk. I want you to demand accountability from our leaders. I am moving on, like I said, from elective politics. But it's tough when I see some who just turn a blind eye or bury their heads in the sand with all this corruption that surrounds us. And I'm going to implore you, I'm going to beg you. Straight Talk will continue. But let us together challenge this accountability, or the lack thereof accountability, lack of transparency that is so rampant in this country. I will really move right into my thesis nonetheless. We'll hear much more about that. Excuse me. Excuse me, my dear. And I want to inform you of my trip to Washington, D.C. and the Western Hemisphere. That's my title, rather. My trip to Washington, D.C. and the Western Hemisphere. And I must confess, it took me quite a while to decide what my thesis title will be for this episode of Straight Talk tonight. Because after the last episode, some political infantiles, imbeciles, tried to tamper with the unvarnished truth. But how can you tamper with truth? The sad thing, though, some of you, my Straight Talk family, fell for the distraction and nonsense they peddled. And for a moment, I pondered as to whether I should simply use as my point of departure for tonight the thesis title, "Who the Cap Fits, Let Them Wear It." Then I said, hell no. I stated the unvarnished truth, and for that reason, I stand behind every word I uttered, and I will just move on. And as impromptu as it was, as I said, I moved on to Washington, D.C. on Thursday for 3 days. Hence, my thesis for tonight, I have titled, like I mentioned, My Trip to Washington, D.C. and the Western Hemisphere. My Straight Talk family, I spent 3 days in Washington, D.C. And believe me, I learned in those 3 days more about my country than I learned throughout my entire political career. You may ask how that's possible. But through the courtesies of this newly launched news organization, the Proud American Studios, I now have access to top personalities and the most important policymakers in Washington that are helping to shape this world in which we all have to live today. It's a world filled with uncertainty, a world filled with unpredictability, and a world filled with we don't know. But the safety of our people, if we focus on national security, the safety of our people, also the geopolitical risks, the geopolitical challenges or threats, and the resultant geopolitical changes that is sweeping the Western Hemisphere. We have to face them. But for clarity and context, I must share this summary video of my time spent in Washington.
Here the handsome man is himself. How are you? Good to see you, my friend. God bless you.
Dean,
How are you, sir?
good to see you. Good to see you. What an impressive place.
There he is. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. It's a real pleasure.
Absolutely. How are you, sir?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Very wonderful. You're peaceful. I love that.
We need brave men in this world today.
The last administration, I started to feel like it was a bit of a jungle.
How could one imagine having an open border in the 21st century?
What President Trump is doing with Venezuela and Iran and Cuba, all of the trouble in the Middle East, you can point to one place, and that is certainly Iran. They sponsor Hezbollah. They sponsor Hamas.
President Trump insisting that Iran would not have a nuclear weapon.
The Southern Command will blow you up. Maduro was deemed a narco-terrorist. There's a lot of places where the only thing they understand is force and power and strength. President Trump, I don't know when he sleeps. He's got more energy, and there's nobody on the planet like him. I think President Trump is uniquely suited to be the leader of the free world. Pete Hegseth, for the wonderful job that he's doing. If you cut his hand open, he would bleed red, white, and blue. All our recruitment numbers are up. Morale is super high.
Peace through strength.
The golden age of America. So I believe these next 3 years are going to be transformative to the world.
My Straight Talk family, I had the privilege of sitting in on the Dean Cain interview of Todd Blanche, the acting Attorney General. My Straight Talk family.
And I just saw this here. It says the Justice Department is prioritizing denaturalization of immigrants who became citizens by committing fraud. I love that. I know there's been very few cases in the past that have done that. I am aware, because with the folks at HSI that I speak with, that there's this one case that in the Caribbean where a bunch of Chinese nationals have come in, gotten passports, and then come in, not as Chinese nationals, they're coming in with those other passports and been arrested here and on fraud charges, and committing crimes and fraud, things like that. That's the kind of stuff I think that is very important. I mean, China is certainly an adversary of ours.
And those Chinese passports were procured in St. Kitts and Nevis. But I also had the privilege of sitting in on Dean Cain's interview of Sebastian Gorka, who is the Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director of Counter-Terrorism as well. And he spoke about the deaths in the U.S.
Look, I'm an OG counterterrorism guy. So my thing is Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah. So even for me, it was like, hang on a second, cartels are terrorists? That I had to sit down and think about it and explain it in the U.S. counterterrorism strategy. And I did the math. I had a TV show on Newsmax, and I dedicated one episode.
I watched.
He's slick. And I dedicated one episode to the question of cartels. And I said, okay, let's do some objective math. And I sat down and I looked at all the combat fatalities since the end of World War II. So that means Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, Gulf I, Gulf II, Afghanistan. Okay? That's 7 conflicts. If you add up all the killed in action U.S. servicemen, it's 103,000 in 70 years. Then, and this was during the Biden years, I said, okay, what are the consequences of cartels exploiting our open borders under Biden? So what did I do? I went to Biden's CDC website.
Right there.
Right, look, it wasn't right there. I had to like 40 clicks down a rabbit hole, right? But I found it. Shocking. 2nd year of open borders under Biden-Harris. 1 year, 110,000 Americans killed by fentanyl and the drugs that cartels bought.
More than all those wars combined.
So just to stop for a second, more people murdered by cartels with the drugs that come from the component chemicals out of, we know where, China, right? brought into the country and killing more Americans in 12 months than 70 years of actual combat. So the president, they declared war on us.
Yes.
And the president is fully justified to use any tool he needs, including the designation. And then you're hanging out with my buddy Pete Hegseth, using the Department of War. Isn't that nice to say that?
It is
the
nice
Department
to
of
say that.
War tools, blowing up those drug boats. Why? Because we're not going to let you kill Americans. So number one, first category, cartels. Number two, my old stomping ground, which is the global jihadi movement. We're in the 25th year of 9/11. I mean, let's just stop for a second. And we're going to finish the job.
Yes.
We're going to take a cue in ISIS, and I'll tell you a fascinating story about how quickly that happened. We're going to stack them like cordwood, and we have, as of today, unclassified. Outside of Operation Epic Fury, outside of Midnight Hammer, our forces have killed 815 jihadis in 14 months. We're back. We are back. We are back in the business of counterterrorism. So that's the second category. So cartels, which, by the way, fall under the remit of the incredible Stephen Miller as Homeland Security Advisor.
I love Stephen Miller.
That guy, like the president, he's a Mack truck. He will not be stopped. And if you are a member of a cartel, woe betide you. He's coming for you, along with Secretary Mullen at DHS, Tom Homan, our incredible border czar. So, cartels, that's up to Steve. Global jihadis are my second remit. And then the third category, and this is the one that even the left, I'm shocked. They are so on their heels. I did a kind of press call when we released the strategy. 50 articles were written that day about the press call. Only one of them from those putters at Politico was even slightly negative. The rest was pretty accurate reporting. So we are moving so fast, they just can't keep up with us, which is...
And this strategy, my straight talk family, the United States counter-terrorism strategy, was signed by the president just a few days before that particular interview, which I had the distinct privilege to sit in on with Dr. Sebastian Gorka, the Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director of Counter-Terrorism, beg your pardon. My Shutok family, I'm so humbled to have personally met Sebastian Gorka, this top counter-terrorist expert in the world. And we had a very interesting discussion, I must admit, as it relates to those drug boats that were shot out of the water, to use that simple term. I learned about the hidden secrets of the Western Hemisphere. I learned about money laundering, narco trafficking, and confirmed reports on the Iranian offshore accounts in places, all of the places in Nevis, my Sherdog family. And this was reported by the Financial Times some months ago. And we know they are watching our offshore industry right here in St. Kitts Nevis. The offshore gambling industry came up for discussion as well, my Straight Dog family. But I regret, I must admit, I regret investing so much of my time in politics. And I regret I tolerated the lies and the propaganda. But I can tell you, my Straight Talk family, the Americans know and follow everything here in the Caribbean and throughout the Western Hemisphere. For example, my Straight Talk family, would you believe that 3 times I was shocked when reference was made to these comments right here in St. Kitts? 3 times I was asked questions.
And with the kind of madman that we have sitting down in the White House, with what he was able to do to Venezuela, which was illegal, where you kidnap an entire head of a government and his wife on trumped up charges, and then you figure, well, okay, well, I'm going after Cuba next. You all have seen the news items. You're going after Cuba next, like Cuba is yours to have. In spite of that embargo from since 1961, when the US stupidly went in to try to invade that country and got their tail busted. Okay? That is it. And we have to remember that. Okay? The same goes for Iran. You hear it on the news. Oh, well, Iran has been a problem for the US for 47 years. But that's only because you choose to count back 47 years. But Iran had its own democratically elected government who they kick out because the man dared to say that Iranian oil belonged to the Iranian people, not the people of Britain and not the people of the US. But then I think Washington underestimated Iran this time. Okay? But there are impacts to be felt here for all of us nevertheless. But we need to decide if we are going to bow down to these big countries who figure that we are little children, as they say, picking children in your own country, and they're going to threaten you with taking away visas because they figure, well, toe the line with us or else.
My Straight Talk family, I can tell you that high-level policymakers were not happy with that position. The question, therefore, is who do we support? The Chinese or the US? I found out, however, that the biggest disappointments here for us are Prime Minister Terence Michael Drew and Attorney General Garth Wilkin. But let me reiterate here and now, for those who want to hear and those who want to listen, the Americans know everything. That's the most I can tell you. I can't tell you what they know, because a lot of things are before the Department of Justice. I won't know about them. But there's great concern that Iranians are involved, like I said, in the offshore banking and the offshore gambling in Nevis, or rather the offshore banking for sure in Nevis. The Russians are in the offshore gambling. The issue of narco trafficking also came to the fore during my 3 days in meetings with high-level policymakers. The issue of narco trafficking came to the fore. Also coming to the fore was the issue of ties with Caribbean leaders, Maduro ties, I should say, with Caribbean leaders. And my Straight Talk family, I had to shake my head and I had to decide that I'll come to my people tonight and tell you these are not times to play around. These are not times to double dip. Maduro's trial is expected to reveal, it's my understanding, which Caribbean leaders took money to facilitate the narco trafficking. Let me repeat that. I am reliably informed that Maduro's trial is expected to reveal which Caribbean leaders took money to facilitate narco trafficking. There's also a strong view as well that the Citizenship by Investment program, which spread like a cancer throughout the OECS, started right here in St. Kitts, I was told, with Denzel Llewellyn Douglas. He is the cancer. I must be clear, however, and to state categorically that my role at Proud American Studios is not to express my personal opinion on any issue whatsoever. My role is to give the microphone, give the mic to the policymakers. They will tell the story. And from the stories coming from high-level interviews and meeting high-level people, I can tell you, my Straight Dog family, that we are in trouble. Our country, for example, is run by a Muslim communist. He never wants to accept it. Our country is being run by this Muslim communist who sees an escape to Africa, to Abuja in Nigeria. But isn't he aware that Christians are slaughtered every day in Nigeria and Abuja we frequent and other areas? But for your information, this is the team, my Straight Dog family, that would provide the facts to counter the communist propaganda in the Western Hemisphere. And the team comprises of former CIA officers, FBI, and high-level former Homeland Security investigators. The team, my Straight Dog family, its president is Michael Koscielniak. Hope I got that pronunciation right. But Michael is a former special investigator with Homeland Security, my Straight Dog family. The team involves as well yours truly, my Straight Dog family. And I will host the Western Hemisphere. But during my recent visit to Washington, D.C., one thing became abundantly clear to me is that the United States is once again paying very close attention to the Western Hemisphere. I had several important meetings and discussions involving policymakers, security analysts, media professionals, and individuals connected to national security and counterterrorism policy. And the message was direct, and the message was unmistakable. America is watching developments in the Caribbean. They are watching developments in Cuba. They are still watching developments in Venezuela and the wider Western Hemisphere very carefully. There are countries in our region that benefited from the Petro-Caribbean Agreement. And in the process, these countries aligned themselves with the Maduro regime in Venezuela. That same regime strengthened relationships with China, with Russia, with Iran, and organizations accused by the United States of involvement in narco-terrorism and international destabilization. For decades, many of these same countries accepted Cuban scholarships, medical scholarships, and brigades, while remaining largely silent on the suffering of the Cuban people themselves. So serious questions continue to be raised internationally about democratic reform, freedom of speech, political freedoms, and economic corruption inside Cuba. And during my visit, I also met with individuals connected, as I said, to the drafting of American counterterrorism policy, including discussions surrounding the designation and classification of narco-terrorist networks. These are not abstract issues anymore, my people. They are now directly connected to regional security. They are now directly connected to banking, to tourism, and diplomatic relations. In several meetings, I was asked difficult but very important questions. Are Caribbean nations comfortable playing double games geopolitically? Do we understand the consequences of aligning ourselves with hostile powers while depending heavily on American tourism, trade, food imports, and its financial systems? But my responsibility, as I said earlier, is not to give personal opinions. My role and responsibility is to provide access to a microphone to policymakers in Washington, so our people can hear directly what concerns exist regarding Cuba, what concerns exist regarding Venezuela, what concerns exist regarding China, what concerns exist regarding Iran, and what concerns exist regarding the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean that is, and Latin America, and by extension, the Western Hemisphere. That is why, my Straight Talk family, I am proud to introduce actor and commentator Dean Cain, the host of the Homeland podcast. We have heard that podcast before, I'm certain. But I'm humbled as part of my Welcome to Proud American Studios. I interviewed Dean Cain, my Straight Talk family.
How are you, sir?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Very wonderful. You're peaceful. I love that. I wish I could be peaceful all the time.
At peace with your God,
Yeah, I'm at peace with my God.
at peace with yourself,
Sometimes.
and at peace with the world.
I'll buy that in a heartbeat. I like that.
I can't inform you, my Straight Talk family, that the full interview can be heard on Friday coming on www.proudamericansounds.com and X. We will as well put it on YouTube. But I also regret that many in our region failed to take heed to early warnings. Today, we are facing a defining choice. Will the Caribbean move closer toward democratic alliances and transparency, or toward authoritarian communist influence Will they move closer toward money laundering, narco trafficking, and geopolitical manipulation? Well, I'm from the Western Hemisphere, from St. Kitts and Nevis to be exact. And I must ask the question, do we really want increased Chinese and Iranian influence shaping the future of our region? Well, I have made my choice. I am unapologetically pro-America and pro-democracy. That does not mean blindly supporting any political movement. It means standing against authoritarianism, and against communist systems that historically have brought suffering and death to millions. Many have called me and asked me whether I am now supporting the MAGA movement. My answer is simple: hell no. This is not about partisan American politics. This is about freedom, democracy, security, and the future direction of the Western Hemisphere. And I don't want to live in a hemisphere where narco-terrorism, corruption, and money laundering become normalized realities. Hell no. International institutions and reports have repeatedly examined concerns regarding money laundering vulnerabilities within offshore financial systems in the Caribbean, including St. Kitts and Nevis. So my mission is about spreading the truth, spreading the unvarnished truth, because the unvarnished truth must be told, because of the legacy we must leave behind for our children and our grandchildren. Because a friend of mine always tells me, Patches, at the end of the day, if you are not part of something meaningful, then you will become part of nothing. So there is the need for what I call geopolitical pragmatism. While maintaining our sovereignty, our independence, we must acknowledge our location, which is in the Western Hemisphere. The United States, the Caribbean, and Latin America are all in the same neighborhood. And this requires careful navigation of international politics. Ideologies like communism have in practice contributed to immense human suffering across the world. Millions have died under communism. We can't deny that. I reflected on the Tiananmen Square in China and that student uprising. Some people are still in jail today. While tactics or strategies have evolved over the years in China called hybrid communism, the underlying objectives, nevertheless, remain unchanged. That is why access to accurate and credible information is one of, if not the most powerful tool we have at our disposal to confront modern Marxist propaganda. My straight dog family, what I experienced in Washington, D.C., opened my eyes in a way that no political platform, no cabinet meeting, or election campaign ever could. For 2 days, I sat among policymakers, national security strategists, legal minds, and media personalities who are helping to shape the future direction of the Western Hemisphere. I listened carefully because the issues being discussed are not abstract issues. They directly affect St. Kitts and Nevis and every family in this federation and in the wider Caribbean. And what became abundantly clear to me is that the world is changing, continues to change rapidly. The Caribbean is no longer viewed as a distant group of small islands. We are now part of a major geopolitical battlefield involving powerful nations, international finance, drug trafficking networks, cyber threats, terrorism, and foreign influence. So whether we choose to accept it or not, the eyes of the world are now fixed on this region. I sat in on discussions involving important issues with top-level policymakers. The conversations centered around national security, narco-trafficking, offshore banking, the influence of hostile foreign actors in the region, and the growing concern about the penetration of criminal enterprises in vulnerable Caribbean states. My people, I left Washington, D.C. deeply concerned. Concerned because our federation's name is now appearing in discussions that involve offshore financial activities, narco-trafficking concerns, and foreign geopolitical interests that could threaten the stability and reputation of our nation. Concerned because powerful countries are now paying very close attention to which governments in the region are aligning themselves with adversaries of the United States and the wider democratic world. And let me say this clearly tonight. This is not about Democrat or Republican politics. This is not about MAGA. This is about the safety, stability, and future of the Western Hemisphere. No patriotic citizen should want our country to become a playground for money laundering, narco trafficking, or foreign interests whose objectives do not align with the peace and prosperity of our people. No patriotic citizen should want our international reputation destroyed because leaders refuse to recognize the dangers that are gathering around us. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood, and history has taught us repeatedly that when tensions rise in this hemisphere, small nations like ours can easily become casualties if we are not careful, if we are not responsible and strategically aligned. I regret, I must say one more time, that during my years in government, I did not fully appreciate the magnitude of these geopolitical realities. I did not appreciate the magnitude, I see again, of these geopolitical realities. I tolerated too much political foolishness, too much propaganda, too many distractions, while dangerous forces quietly position themselves around us. But leadership is also about growth, reflection, and the courage to acknowledge when the stakes have become too high for silence. And for me, those stakes are too high for me to remain silent. Tonight, I am therefore sounding an alarm, not out of fear, but out of duty. We must protect our citizenship by investment program from this continuing abuse. We must protect our banking system from infiltration. We must protect our young people from the poison of drugs and organized crime. We must protect our democracy from manipulation by foreign actors. And above all, we must ensure that St. Kitts and Nevis remains a respected, stable, democratic nation that our children and grandchildren can inherit with pride. My trip to Washington, D.C. was not a vacation. It was an awakening. And after what I saw, heard, and learned, I can no longer remain silent while our country, and countries I should say, in this Eastern Caribbean region drifts into dangerous waters. History will judge all of us, not by the slogans we shouted, but by whether we had the courage to defend our nation and our region when the warning signs were staring us directly in the face. May God bless this federation. May God protect our people and guide us wisely through these dangerous and uncertain times. And my Stray Dog family, I am happy, I am humbled to be part of this proud American Studios company.
We're going to create a new platform called Proud American Studios, and I'm going to do a podcast called The Homeland, and I'm going to celebrate the United States of America, the greatest nation the world has ever known. Here he is himself, the legend, Mr. Tom Homan. Thank you so much for joining us on The Homeland.
The administration proves it. Lowest, most secure border in the history of the United States. Record number of deportations. Rescuing 145,000 missing children. How many women aren't being sexually assaulted making that journey by the cartels? How many children aren't dying making that journey? How many pounds of fentanyl isn't getting into the United States to kill Americans?
The Director of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Mr. Todd Lyons.
President Trump has took the handcuffs off of us. We're actually allowed to enforce the law the way it's written. Under President Biden's administration, we got 300 nationwide. We were slapping ourselves in the back and taking a victory lap. Now we're arresting almost 1,500 to 1,700 a day.
More people murdered by cartels with the drugs that come from the component chemicals out of, we know where, China, right? Brought into the country and killing more Americans in 12 months than 70 years of actual combat.
The removal of Maduro was a big hit. Chinese influence is seen everywhere in our hemisphere. They're buying influencers, they're buying politicians. We went 6,000 miles overseas and fought a war for 20 years. These guys are right across the border. What the heck are we doing? The head of the snake right now, the cancer in our hemisphere is Cuba.
For all of the cartel members watching the Dean Cain Show, we got El Mencho. We are going to get you, but we will find you and we will hunt you down and we will take you out.
The Justice Department is prioritizing denaturalization of immigrants who became citizens by committing fraud.
We should absolutely be prosecuting that, and the consequence of that should be you lose your right to be a citizen of this great country. That's going to be a big thing that we're rolling out over the next several months.
President Donald Trump, I'm speaking today as a survivor and as a witness to the genocide happening in Nigeria, where 278 people were killed within 4 hours.
Of Obama administration and the Biden administration were trying to get some sort of a deal with these murderous jihadic fanatics. And for the first time right now, United States actually strike Iran.
My name is D.W. Wilbur. I'm a former U.S. intelligence officer, and my career has been dedicated to confronting and defeating communist propaganda.
President Trump insisting that Iran would not have a nuclear weapon.
The Southern Command will blow you up.
What role did you play in that? Did you talk to those outside agencies? Did you talk to the officer right after the shooting?
No, I did not. You know who actually started the hands up, don't shoot lie that circulated worldwide?
Dorian Johnson, Michael Brown's friend.
Welcome to Pretty Fed Up. We are a panel of Christian conservative women who are sick to death of what leftist woke ideology is doing to our households, our culture.
I'm pretty fed up with identity politics.
I am so fed up with political activist teachers indoctrinating children, turning their classrooms into literal political indoctrination camps.
I mean, the grift that we saw, that it's a climate grift. It was like these green slush fund and unqualified recipients receiving tens of billions of dollars.
For too long, Hollywood has criticized Americans on morals and ethics, all while hiding very dark secrets. I'm Michael Koselniak, retired Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent. Here at Proud American Studios, we have created a special investigations unit.
You ever watch a movie and think, who would pay for this? You did. That's right. You, the American taxpayer.
And you won't believe what we found in Hollywood.
My name is Dino Buruja. I'm a former CIA officer.
The world cannot afford to have Iran having a nuclear weapon. President Trump is talking to them in the way they understand. These people are terrorists.
Iran is a foreign enemy who has been attacking us for the last 47 years, since 1979.
Hi, I'm Dean Cain, and welcome to Proud American Studios.
So my Straight Talk family, in conclusion, my trip to Washington, D.C. reaffirmed that the future of the Western Hemisphere will ultimately be shaped by those who defend democracy, strengthen regional partnerships, and place national interests above ideological convenience. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. And the numbers are on your monitors. Those who as well would prefer to use a cloak of anonymity, that access to our email platform is also on your monitors. I always like to implore you, though, when I open the lines, which I'll do momentarily, I anticipate that you will respect others, and to achieve that, you must first, of course, respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. And in the process of saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, it's 9:09, and I go to the lines and say goodnight to our first caller. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Liebert.
How are you, my dear? Good night.
I am great. Welcome back. We miss you. You are a big impact on our lives. May God continue to favor you on your journey. Have a great evening.
Thank you, my dear. I miss you as well. Thank you very much. That's my quotationist. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Brother Patches.
Good night, my dear brother. How about that?
I am humble and peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
It is a pleasure I am so proud of you for the new direction that you have taken. It will benefit all of us, like it said. I pray that you will be guided and continue to be blessed by the High Almighty. Having said that, there was a purpose for you, and the purpose has been in progress. I will join your team. I will like to join your team, should needs be, when it's necessary.
Okay.
You are the purpose for the world, and if there is another world. I've listened a lot, plenty of negatives, but guess what? It didn't rock me. Because if God have a purpose for you, it has been given, and so it has been said, and so it has been done. I will leave it right there for other comments, because there are millions of people. We all miss you with a million S's. But welcome back once again. I will try to get in again. Just be humble and peaceful as you are. Thank you for that little time.
Thank you for your contribution as well, and for your support. I've taken note of the fact that you request to come along. But my Straight Dog family, fear not. And I will suggest to you that, as the good book says, be not as an horse or a mule, because your mouth would be held by bit and bridle, I think the good book says, lest they will come near you. The bit and the bridle on a horse's mouth, it restricts it from doing several things. And if you interpret that scripture verse, you will interpret that you ought not to be silent. Let's go back to the lines at 12 past 9 o'clock. Caller, you live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Patches. How are you?
I am peaceful, so yourself?
I'm peaceful myself. And I just looking at your program this evening, and I saw some issues that you brought up in terms of the Western Hemisphere and how America is protecting the Western Hemisphere against communists and bad actors. Right? But for the past, I'm 50 years old. And for the past 40 to 50 years, what has America done for the Western Hemisphere? Because if we go back and look at the NAFTA agreement, that haven't done anything for the Western Hemisphere. Venezuela coming in with Petro-Caribbean deal.
Which agreement?
Help out the NAFTA agreement, NAFTA trade agreement, where America may force every Caribbean island to sign. Had not done nothing for the Caribbean, but make them subservient to America and American foreign companies and their policies. When the Caribbean needed help with high fuel costs, America didn't step in to help nobody. Venezuela stepped in to help the Caribbean islands. When the Caribbean islands needed doctors, America didn't step in to help the Caribbean islands. America tell the Caribbean islands they're on their own and needed to provide for themselves. Cuba stepped in to assist. Now all of a sudden, all of these countries is the biggest terrorists. That has been America's line for years.
But caller, sorry to interrupt you. I don't know what's your interpretation of help, because as far as I know, we have for a long time been declared as a high income country. Are you aware of that? We have made billions of dollars, and I've heard that's been bandied about for a long time. We have made billions of dollars from our citizenship by investment program. But moving forward, though, So I don't quite understand what you mean by help. If we should get a handout from America. But moving forward, though, all our tourists, the majority of our tourists come from the United States of America. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am aware of that.
Okay, and you know that all our food we import comes from America.
Yes, I'm also aware of that.
So what you're suggesting, and you said, so we should abandon America and abandon our tourism industry? What are you suggesting? I'm a little confused about it.
No, we are not saying I'm not saying that we should abandon America or abandon our tourism industry. But the fact remains is that we are independent and sovereign nation. At the end of the day, we should have the right to choose who we do business with. Because if you're talking about, as I heard on the show earlier, money laundering and bad actors, I can name several European countries that have bigger money laundering situation than St. Kitts and Nevis, and America don't go up against one of them.
Yeah, but because you're a sovereign country, it does not mean you must entertain an adversary in your neighborhood. Because
but America is the biggest adversary in everybody's neighborhood.
Well, you're entitled to your view, but I'm sure the whole world would disagree with you. But I'm saying to you that if you are a sovereign country, doesn't give you the right to bring the Chinese or the Russians in your country. And that goes back in history. I mean, we've spoken about the Monroe Doctrine. Are you familiar with the Monroe Doctrine? But
yes, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, but the point you're making, I don't think many would agree with you. Because we shouldn't want no handouts. We are a sovereign, independent country. Why we don't develop our country? We talk about agriculture. For 4 years, this government has been talking about agriculture. What have they done? The CARICOM introduced 25 by 25. They will reduce import bills by 25% in 2025. They'll kick that can down the road to 2030. And our import is going up and up.
Mr. Patrick,
so,
I'm not as old as you, but have you recognized, I think this happens every 10 to 15 years, that every time the Caribbean has found a means and a way to survive and to feed themselves, the United States government come in and say something is wrong with it?
What the United States government has said about something wrong with us? If we
remember, let's look back to history. Remember, the Caribbean had sugar. America come in. The Caribbean had the sugar product. America and England come in and they started determining what the price of sugar should be. Most of the sugar industry shut down and gone to nothing. They went on to investment banking. America come in and say money laundering and shut it down. Now we have citizen by investment. America come out with the same part thing again, money laundering and money laundering.
So are you saying that our citizenship? You dealt with a few, but let me deal with the last one, the CBI. Are you saying that the CBI, you feel comfortable and happy when you know that a Chinese is arrested with our passport for money laundering, which tells us something is wrong with our due diligence? Are you saying that the due diligence will be fine? But it's been since 2006. Please.
What I am saying, saying is America is a hypocrite, because at the end of the day, it's America who's doing the due diligence for these companies.
That is not true. That is not true. You are talking from a point of ignorance. The due diligence companies were done. It was found out that the same Chinese, one Chinese company was doing all the due diligence in Hong Kong and in China. American companies don't do no due diligence. You're not talking fact. So please,
American companies don't do due diligence.
Which due diligence?
All the information comes from all of the information come from where?
From where?
Yeah.
American has nothing to do with our due diligence in the CBI program. Where we get the information from? What you're saying? Since 2006, when we introduced SAD, if you go back to that report, I think the INCR report, it speaks to there's a term they use, illicit actors. That's what they call them. And they're found all over with our passports. You remember the famous Magadan? All right. And we lost our visa-free access to Canada. So come on, get your facts right. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want you to spread this false information on this forum. But again, getting back to the agriculture, what you have to do, hello?
Go ahead.
What you have to do, produce, and then market in the years. It's a big market. There was a CBI program, I think it was introduced under Reagan. It perhaps still exists. How much we send to the US? What products we send to the US? You could have brought in the raw material free from the United States, and it returns to the United States free of any duties. What have we done?
But that's a good question you're asking. What have we done? And you should also ask that question to yourself. What have you done? Because you was there for a short time.
I was there long after the manufacturing sector was closed down. What I have done, right? I can tell you what I have done. Yes, I have ensured that I build a second cruise spear. I ensured what?
How the cruise spear gonna feed everybody in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Because we promoting the cruise tourism. That's what tourism is our number one industry. But that's what we promote for all
years. Industry, yes. But at the end of the day, it doesn't produce any food. What food it produces for St. Kitts and Nevis?
What food? It produces foreign exchange, so you can buy your food.
Foreign exchange can't feed people. Because at the end of the day, if you might got all the money, so you can't get no food.
Okay, so anything, I think, I'll apply the Mark Twain theory here right now. Anything further?
No, but congratulations on your new position.
Mm-hmm. Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. I'm not in that position, as I said, to advance opinions. That position gives me access to the top policymakers in the United States. They're the ones going to speak. We're going to ask the question.
Yeah. You are being used. You are being used as a tool. Well, but congratulations.
Well, thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
All right.
I found that caller again was talking from a point of what I call nescience. Let me try to be kind. Nescience. Because if we are going to be able to access policymakers, you're saying we are being used. And I'm happy because I will bring out the facts that you will understand what our government is doing. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller, you're live. Are you there, caller?
Patrick?
Yes, Mr. Bible man.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, sir. Good night. How about thou?
I'm fine, Mr. Patrick. Psalm 107. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord for his good, for his mercy endures forever. Patrick, you have to give God thanks and praise. He carry you and he bring you back. Patrick, give God thanks and praise.
Yes, my Lord, I do.
Lord, Psalm 25. Hear the word of the Lord, Patrick. Psalm 75. And said unto the foolish, deal not foolishly. Unto the wicked, lift up your hands. For promotion cometh not from the east,
nor the west,
nor the south. God is their promotional committee, and God do everything there. Psalm 41, Mr. Patrick. Blessed is the man that considereth the poor in the time of trouble, and I shall deliver him. Psalm 47. Fret not yourself because of evil doings of that, neither be enriched against the workers of iniquity.
Iniquity, yes.
Psalm 34 is about it. I will bless the Lord at all times.
I will.
His praise shall continue in my mouth. My soul shall make a boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear it, be glad. Patrick, I am going to give you another passage scripture. Here it is here. Psalm
Come,
Psalm 107.
wrap up, Mr. Bibleman, please. Wrap up. I got a lot of calls in line.
Oh, that man will praise the Lord for his goodness of the children. Oh, that man shall praise the Lord for his goodness and to the wonderful work of the children of men. That is for you.
Have a good night. My God, thank you for your spiritual intervention. And go back to the lines, caller. Thank you for holding your life. Hello, caller.
Thank you. Yes, we have to be patient with Bible man sometimes. Let me reiterate. Because of our leaders, or the leaders of a country, the people will and shall be perish. I've been saying it all along. The people who are going, speaking contrary to the messenger, please don't shoot the messenger. The messenger is only delivering the message and the unvarnished truth. If a man was indulged in an activity and he decided to change, love him for that. Love him for that. Why? Love fury and hatred. But I will watch your back always, as long as I see. And I've listened and heard the unvarnished truth. So, to whom it may concern, bring your facts to the table before you open your mouth. America and St. Kitts never needed handout because our CBI brought in billions of dollars. I am factual about that. I've heard it from the horse's mouth. So when anyone will say America has not done anything for us, what happened to the tourism? What happened to the food import and export from to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and the rest of the Caribbean and to the rest of the world? Brother, have facts before you come to the table, to whom it may concern. Thank you again. I'm listening very keenly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My Straight Talk family, the lines are still open. It's 9:29. We're looking at issues arriving or deriving from the discussion tonight. And, you know, small Caribbean nations like ours are close neighbors. Economic collapse, organized crime, trafficking, or instability can affect the U.S. directly. hurricanes regularly devastate Caribbean economies. Emergency assistance after storms can prevent long-term humanitarian crises. And yes, the U.S. competes diplomatically with countries like China for influence in the Caribbean. Aid can strengthen alliance and partnerships. But come on. Some people worry about funds being wasted or captured by political elites instead of helping ordinary citizens. And that's what's happening here in St. Kitts. But let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Patrick, good evening to you and the listeners, man.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, straight to it. St. Kitts and Nevis is possibly the most corrupted place in the Western Hemisphere based on size. And the citizens who's underground, who don't want to come to that reality, they got a rude awakening coming. The place is in a mess, and no one wants to do the work to clean the mess up. Patches, welcome to the USA, man, because you get a chance to look in for a couple of days from outside. A lot of stuff I'll be saying on here. I know where I stand with all this stuff. We know that corruption affects GDP. Why would you want to defend somebody that's corrupted and crooked at that? Our parents didn't raise us like this. We got corruption in the family, in the society, in politics, and everywhere else. I'm not here to defend none of those politicians of the past or the present. They have all failed the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. All that money that flowed to St. Kitts last year through that CBI since its inception, St. Kitts and Nevis should be in tip-top shape. The so-called leaders, the politicians, man, they feel to themselves that money should only be flowing to their pockets alone. What about the working class? And nobody is being held accountable. No changes are being made. And I don't see how we're going to have real progress and advancement without changes. Everybody underground, they're on these party lines. They're treating these politicians like they're gods. None of those politicians in St. Kitts and Nevis are gods. They have all failed the people. They got all these, they got their money stashed away all over the world. They're not investing the money in that agriculture so we could be self-sufficient in food. They are pushing a lot of propaganda. They got the people divided, and the people, they need to wake up. Man, by the time we wake up, we're done lose St. Kitts and Nevis. Can't we see what's happening right before our eyes? Look at what's going on over there in Nevis with those lands over there. Man, it's so much corruption and so much conflicts of interest. Man, this thing can only happen in St. Kitts and Nevis. Sometimes I wish some of these characters would be in the United States, bro. They would have already been in jail for a lot of those corrupted stuff that they're doing on the ground. But by the time we wake up, it'll be too late. I hope and I pray for the St. Kitts and Nevis people to wake up and smell the coffee. Patches, man, I got a crystal ball looking in from out here. And I'm glad I'm not really underground to be caught up with that BS, bro. That party line politics is mashing up the place. Those politicians don't care nothing about the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. They don't care about the working class. People, wake up. Man, you could pick up St. Kitts and Nevis and move it to the North Pole. People won't even know what happened until they wake up the next day. The people, like, they're hypnotized by these crooked politicians, corrupted them at again. But I can't say this stuff enough, bro. The place is super duper corrupted. And until we clean that mess up, we're going to see where the end result will be. Somebody have to hold these people accountable. And if they're not being held accountable from within, well, maybe Uncle Sam might step in and hold them accountable from outside. It's a lot of money being wasted. We can't get projects completed. We can't get healthcare up to speed. Man, we don't have immaculate roads. Man, they're still quarreling about the Bastille High School. Man, the place is in a mess. Baptist, thanks a lot, man. Have a good night.
Have a good night as well, my dear brother. And I think the point ought to be made, and be made forcefully, because lots of people like to talk about sovereignty. But every country has a duty not to harbor threats. Sovereignty cannot shield terrorism or hostile actors. And security realities require flexible responses. So no one should come with this nonsense talk about sovereignty. I am a sovereign country. I am an independent country. So I do what I like. And harbor threats to your neighbors. Then your neighbors have a right to intervene if that is the case. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello,
Mr.
caller.
Straight Talk.
Abracadabra.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Yes, my lord. How art thou tonight, my brother?
Mr. Straight Talk.
Yes, you're live.
How are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
How are you, my brother? I almost dropped sleep.
I am peaceful. I am peaceful. Yourself?
What can I say? So far, so good, yeah, man. Mr. Straight Talk, you almost get frustrated with that guy. But don't you dare take them on, because that's who, when you recognize where you was going, you just had to apply your Mark Twain position.
Yes,
so I just want to thank you, man, for what you have doing now. And don't, and as you says that you are not no MAGA supporter. No, you are not. And all I could just yell is yes, 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 you are right. You don't know no supporter, you are supporter of the right from the wrong. And it left it there for you to see what you are doing and what you are saying. Okay. So that's all I have to say to you. Just keep doing what you're doing. You just began. There's a great task lies ahead of you, Mr. Straight Talk. Just keep doing what you got to do. That's all I just want to say to you tonight, that you start off good. Just hold the range. Let the horses run. Enjoy the ride. God bless you. See you when I see you. Abracadabra.
See you when I see you, my brother. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, thank you for holding you alive. Hello, caller.
Hey, Patch. What's up?
Not a lot. What's up with you?
This is Mr. Jacksonville. Hey, congratulations on your new position, and I am glad that actually you have the opportunity to where you can go behind the scenes and know exactly what is going on. Like, you know that I am not a Trump supporter, but I was in position with the federal government and Navy to know exactly what is going on. You and I have had many discussions, and if I hear you saying things on the air also, I'll either call you personally and let you know that's not how it works, and this is how it is.
True.
You know, and over the years, you came to find out that I knew what I was talking about, and you seen what I was telling you. It is true, because I had my hands in a lot of things. What these people don't understand, okay, America is not going to stand back and let these people come in and enjoy what they have built in their backyard. And until they understand what Trump is doing and understand the mission They're going to still be talking about colonialism, talking about Bratcher would have done this and all those different sort of things. That is not how it works.
Yes.
The Caribbean being looking to the United States for so many things, but I guess some people looking for monetary amount. The United States, we're going to be worrying in a couple of months about hurricanes. The one who's going to be taking care of us with the information is the United States, sending those hunter planes into the hurricane to provide information to the world. We are calling out now and saying, look, how hard it's becoming for the Caribbean. And we all want the prices to drop. Who they are depending on now to get those sea lanes open, that ships can flow, the United States. Maybe you're not seeing money, but it takes money from the United States to keep these avenues open. And they don't understand it. United States has gone and gave up all those treaties, what they had over the years. But here it is now. Russia and China want to come in and take over. That's not going to happen.
No, not at all. I agree with you.
I wish you all the best, guy, and you know that I know where I'm talking about.
Yes,
I have discussed it with you, I've explained it to you, and I can tell some of these petitions. If you can tell me where the factory, what Bratcher had, or tell me the storeroom that he had all these shoes in what he gave to you all, let me know, because I know it's closed now, but I might be willing to buy the property. They got to get these politics out of it and start understanding what it's all about. Hey, thank you, man.
Thank you, my brother. Well said. I trust that all is well. If you haven't heard you for some time, but you made some very salient points. You know, I believe that caller spoke about sugar at one time, and let me see if I can take this other call. Caller, I'll get back to that. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Greetings, Mr. Patches. How are you?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself? Greetings.
I'm very good. Listening to your sound thesis. Very sound. I always know from your announce yourself going further, it would be a more mature step for straight talk with more educational knowledge for straight talk and the audience. So I'm listening to your sound presentation tonight. Your words that been echoed is very positive. So you continue to be strong.
Thank you, my brother.
I can understand, Mr. Patches, when I hear you talk about political pragmatism, communism, money laundering, also democracy, protect the banking system, democracy from foreign actors, ideological convenience. These are very important issues, Mr. Patches, confronting our people and confronting the Caribbean. When the Prime Minister of Trinidad made her presentation at the CARICOM summit, some persons get offended, but she was straightforward, representing her people in the forum. And every Caribbean leader have the same issue that she was talking about, but she was just outspoken. Whole Caribbean citizen don't want to get a visa to go America. Nobody want. They don't want to get a visa to go Cuba or Iran or China. They want to get a visa to go America. America got its problems, yes, but the Caribbean more expose themselves to America. And if you're saying that we are a democratic country, we must know what type of democracy we want us to have. And I would read. It is true that the concept of democracy is universally accepted. It is, however, no less to say that there are many types of democracy as there are nations in the world. Since the underlying spirit of each type of democracy is imparted to it by the ongoing that puts it into effect in its own individual and particular way. Democracy evolves by stage gradually. Democracy as the share of the people voice in the conduct of their own affairs. That's how democracy is. And we got to exert that right always with our democracy if we want it to remain a democracy. We can't say that we're looking up onto leaders because they no, we got to look at what they do. Because that's how we are judged by the Spirit of the Lord. Is what the actions that men take to each other. Is how we are judged as we live. Mr. Patrice, you continue. And you brought up a point tonight about the CBI and sovereignty. And it is true that because Kamala make a brilliant point, when she talk about Cuba. She asks, how many Caribbean leaders want that type in their own country? Why you going to get vexed with a leader to ask a question like that? So if you're going to get vexed with Kamala, that means you got the intention to bring them kind of living on your own people. Yes, Cuba helped Caribbean people, but what about the system?
Or the Cuban people?
Couldn't we say that the Cuban system needs to be more reformed to be a more liberated way for the Cuban people? This is a question we must ask ourselves, and we mustn't get offended to ask these type of questions. Mr. Patrice, you continue to be strong. God bless. Stay healthy.
God bless you as well, my dear brother. A sound speech, as I say, that cannot be condemned as we go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Blessed night and joy to you, Brother Patrice.
Same to you, my brother, Ras Aya.
And where your location mean you got this stinking America? We born fire and them thief in cocaine dealers, yeah? But love and honor to you, may you have your joy and peace with the love of the Almighty and the ancestors. Really and truly, may let you ask you, what you ground levels of what you're doing up in America?
I don't understand your question.
What the purpose are you really assert to be in America as? What are you doing as?
Well, I've joined the Proud American studios, and I will get close to the policymakers, top policymakers, who no doubt will debunk the Marxist communist propaganda that we here in the islands and the region just hold on to. I heard an earlier caller talk about they get nothing from America. We had our sugar industry, and I'm sure you're familiar with the sugar industry. And the sugar.
Me ain't got me money yet, Me ain't got me money yet. I want me money from Mario.
Because the sugar industry.
All the lawyer of Denzel Douglas who closed down the sugar industry and need me money. So you got it.
But the sugar industry it was no longer economically feasible. The cost to produce the sugar was more than what revenue they got for the sugar. And there was a guaranteed market, the guaranteed European market, and someone made a decision and moved to the US that was paying at the time a higher cost per ton for sugar, But at this, if you move, and if your quota was 30,000 tons annually, and you went and you sell 10,000 tons this year to the American or the open market, they call it, then your quota will be reduced to 20 by 10,000 tons, and that created the problem for the government in terms of the sugar. So people must get the facts and understand it. But make your point, though, Carla. Yeah.
I want to clear something up because I hear you make a statement with one of your callers them there pertaining and both illicit actors and terrorist movements that will create in our elements that we call as a region. But we have seen terrorists that occurred in our region under the hands of the same dirty America who is trying to claim that people is terrorists. Who more terrorists than America? Who more terrorists than America? And we're going on like we're supporting these people. Right now America is doing a terrorist act in the world and people are sitting by and watching this act occurred in the world. And then we want to claim that all things will because the old thieving cocaine dealers them who feel that America is America running by a government. It's not running by a government, and you know that to other countries. America is run by a corporation. America is run by a corporation.
No. But I allow you to talk, and you talk many times from a point of emotion. But we have many listeners, thousands of listeners to the program. And we need to understand, right? And we need to present. However you put it, but and you must present the facts. Don't get too emotional, because I have. Look. I have before me just now here the California mayor accused of acting as illegal agent for China. I get up to date with the news, right, and the facts, right, and Proud American Studios, I can say to you, just for information, just started. And up to last week, 12 million people watch Proud American Studios. The trailer for the show I'm doing, the Western Hemisphere, at 250,000 Americans watch the announcement of the Western Hemisphere. Americans and others, I should say. So we're not concerned about your position and your small group. Make your point and be respectful, else we'll have to part company. Go ahead, call. I'll give you 10 seconds.
Let me tell you something here, because I'm not begging a friend.
I'll give you 10 seconds.
I'm not begging a friend. You could give me 10 seconds, I will tell you this in 10 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Have a pleasant night, and we have those calls. That's what Straight Talk is all about. We'll find them from time to time. But my Straight Talk family, let it be clear. During my visit last week to Washington, D.C., one thing became abundantly clear to me, is that the United States is once again paying very close attention to the Western Hemisphere. I had several important meetings and discussions involving policymakers, security analysts, media professionals, and individuals connected to national security and counter-terrorism policy. The message was direct and unmistakable. America is watching developments in the Caribbean, in Cuba, in Venezuela, and the wider hemisphere very carefully. Yes, the countries in our region that benefited from Petro-Carib, or the Petro-Caribbean Agreement, we did. When we went into office in 2015, the Denzel Douglas Labour administration left with a debt of over $220,000. They never paid for the fuel that Chavez, under the agreement, provided for us. Perhaps that's why the Venezuelan oil company or the oil production just seemed to have taken a dip. That same regime, Venezuela, under Chavez, strengthened relationships with China, with Russia, with Iran, and organizations that were involved in narco-terrorism and international destabilization. Hezbollah were in Venezuela. So what are we talking about? We talk about decades when we accepted medical scholarships and the medical brigades. But we remained silent on the suffering of the Cuban people themselves. So serious questions must be raised internationally about democratic reform, freedom of speech, political freedoms, and economic corruption inside of Cuba. We must talk about that, my Straight Talk family. Caller?
We got a corruption government.
Hello, caller.
Good night.
Yes, good night.
And good night. How are you, my husband?
I am peaceful. Yourself? I'll give you, run out of time, so make your points quickly.
Yes, I noticed that. I watched the time just now. What I want to say, right? I just hear you say thing there. That the people are keeping quiet wherever, overseas or wherever. The same thing in think it here. The people are keeping quiet.
Are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good night again, Patches. One quick question. I would like you to tell me, who own most United States Treasury bonds? The same China that the same company that you're working for is talking about this, that is so bad, own the majority of the United States Treasury bonds.
What's the point you're making? What's the point you're making?
It's bad when the point I'm making that when we got directly to deal with China, it's wrong, and we are wrong to do that. But America got directly to deal with China.
No, please. We never said that from this platform, right? Because everybody deals with China. China, I mean, we have a World Trade Organization. I mean, there's economics and there's military decisions and so on. So, I mean, nobody's saying that. If China partakes in new U.S. bonds, it means the U.S. bonds are safe. China feels that way. So I don't understand the point you're making, though.
The point I am trying to make is that you're portraying, and your organization, I watched the video and I'm doing some research on them, it's portraying that China is so bad because you don't want China in the Western Hemisphere. The Western Hemisphere, according to the Monroe Doctrine, belongs to the United States and the United States only. Should have rule in Western Hemisphere. Now China is in the Western Hemisphere in a lot of Caribbean countries, and China is one of the bad. They're so wrong. There's communists. You're using buzzwords, like communists, terrorists. You're old enough to know that word communist, what he has brought about among some people around the world. Because as long as they live as a communist, you know how they tend to treat you and treat your country. And these are the buzzwords that you're using and your organization is using.
My brother, I am saying to you that every country, and this is the last thing I'll say to you for tonight, every country or state has a duty not to harbor threats. And you know what's a threat? And sovereignty cannot and should not shield terrorism or hostile actors. And security realities require flexible responses. That's all I have to say to you for tonight.
I agree with you on that.
Okay, so if you agree,
tell your organization, go and connect the man for Israel, because he have a warrant out for him from the International Court for war crimes, and they ain't going for him.
Well, I mean,
nobody think it. No against them.
We don't. Nobody what? Don't say that.
Nobody think it's going. The International Court don't have no warrant against, so nobody think it's a Nevis.
Okay, but you okay, my brother. Some people don't recognize the International Court, so that could be part of it. But thanks a lot for your information. I thought you said nobody in St. Kitts. Okay, but that's another issue. But lots of people are trying to follow where the money has gone to, the CBI money, and we never know, right? We never know. But you have to understand. And the point is, though, and which is hard, the British came here and colonized our islands. And now what has happened? We came here in shackles, we're beaten. But the offsprings of the slaves are the ones that have us in these shackles. But the point I want to make, no matter what we want to say, and I want to tell you again, I brought back from Washington a message which is unmistakable. The geopolitical landscape of the Western Hemisphere is shifting, and nations can no longer afford the luxury of strategic ambiguity. The Monroe Doctrine, whether openly declared or quietly enforced, remains alive in modern form. Countries that continue to align themselves with authoritarian or communist regimes hostile to democratic values will have to confront the consequences of these choices. So make up your minds. Make up your minds, my people. But as I said, my role at Proud American Studios will not be to advance my personal opinion or personal opinions, but my role would be to facilitate the policymakers and give them a mic so we will hear it, so to speak, from the horse's mouth. Like Gorka.
Look, I'm an OG counterterrorism guy. So my thing is Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Hamas, Hezbollah. So even for me, it was like, hang on a second, cartels are terrorists? That I had to sit down and think about it and explain it in the US counterterrorism strategy. And I did the math. I had a TV show on Newsmax, and I dedicated one episode.
I watched.
To he's slick. And I dedicated one episode to the question of cartels. And I said, okay, let's do some objective math. And I sat down and I looked at all the combat fatalities since the end of World War II. So that means Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, Gulf I, Gulf II, Afghanistan. Okay? That's 7 conflicts. If you add up all the killed in action US servicemen, it's 103,000 in 70 years. Then, and this was during the Biden years, I said, okay, what are the consequences of cartels exploiting our open borders under Biden? So what did I do? I went to Biden's CDC website.
Right there.
Right, look, it wasn't right there. I had to like 40 clicks down a rabbit hole, right? But I found it. Shocking. 2nd year of open borders under Biden-Harris. 1 year, 110,000 Americans killed by fentanyl and the drugs that cartels bought.
More than all those wars combined.
So just to stop for a second. More people murdered by cartels with the drugs that come from the component chemicals out of, we know where, China, right? Brought into the country and killing more Americans in 12 months than 70 years of actual combat. So they declared war on us.
Yes.
And the president is fully justified to use any tool he needs, including the designation. And then you were hanging out with my buddy Pete Hegseth, using the Department of War. Isn't that nice to say that?
It is
the
nice
Department
to
of
say that.
War tools, blowing up those drug boats. Why? Because we're not going to let you kill Americans. So number one, first.
So yes, my Straight Talk family, more people killed from fentanyl than in 70 years of war. And I had the privilege to meet Gorka, Sebastian Gorka. See him there, the Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Counterterrorism. And my Straight Talk family, our conversation, for me, it was educational. But these are the people that proud American studios are attracting and providing them with a microphone and an avenue so we can hear their voice. And we can hear from them, hear the facts, my Straight Talk family. Somebody, or many of you, for example, this individual calling into my program, my good friend Charles. He spoke about Stephen Miller. But it was the Europeans who colonized us, Charles, not the Americans. It was the Europeans who colonized all of us, not the Americans. So get your facts right. So my Straight Talk family, as we wind down tonight's programming, we will have our differences. And that's what I said as your host. Straight Talk entertains a diversity of views, or diverse views. But let us agree to disagree and not become disagreeable. For that caller who tries to get this gotcha moment, understand that history will judge all of us. And for my Rasta friend, not by the slogans we shouted, but whether we had the courage to defend our nation when the warning signs were staring us directly in the face. So may God bless this federation. May God protect our people and guide us wisely through these dangerous and uncertain times. And my Straight Talk family, the message, as I said, I brought from Washington, D.C., was unmistakable. My message reaffirmed many things, my Straight Talk family. Many things. We must protect our young people from the poison of drugs and organized crime. We must protect our democracy from manipulation by foreign actors. Tonight I sounded an alarm, not out of fear, but out of duty. We must protect our citizenship by investment program from continuing abuse. We must protect our banking system from infiltration. Look at what's happening, God forbid, or will happen in Nevis with Destiny. 10,000 shares will amount to 40,000 passports in Little Nevis with 13,000 people and an enclave. And that investor will be given our passports to sell. And he will use the money to buy the land from the people. What nonsense is that? What nonsense? What corruption? You have a premier whose wife is the sole agent, real estate agent who will sell those lands. And I say, I regret that during my years in government, I did not fully appreciate the magnitude of these geopolitical issues. I tolerated, I confess, too much political foolishness, too much propaganda, too much distractions, my people, while dangerous forces quietly position themselves around us. But leadership is about growth, reflection, and the courage to acknowledge when the stakes have become too high for silence. Caller, I'm going to guide you by the rules of brevity. I can give you 30 seconds. How can you use it?
I'll take 20.
Thank you.
I'm going to say this. Now that you are where you are and the position you are in, let the dog loose. And all these corrupted leaders, all these dishonest leaders, whether it's St. Kitts and Nevis or any other Caribbean islands or anywhere that you know, you are just the messenger. Bring the message and say what you know and talk what you know and let it be unvarnished truth. I need all of them to be locked up, jail in the calaboose for the hurt they have done. Far too long now. Enough is enough. And I say enough is enough too.
Thank you.
And I will brag about it and I will not change it. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you very much. In conclusion, my Straight Dog family, I sat in on discussions involving important issues with top-level policymakers. The conversation centered around national security, narco-trafficking, offshore banking, the influence of hostile foreign actors in the region, and the growing concern about the penetration of criminal enterprises into vulnerable Caribbean states. And my people, I left Washington, D.C. deeply concerned. Concerned because of our federation's name is now appearing in discussions that involve offshore financial activities, narco-trafficking concerns, and foreign geopolitical interests that could threaten the stability and reputation of our nation. Concerned because powerful countries are now paying very close attention to which governments in the region are aligning themselves with adversaries of the United States and the wider democratic world. And let me say in closing, I'm going to say this clearly tonight, it is not about Democratic or Republican politics. It is not about MAGA. It is about the safety, stability, and the future of our little countries. And no patriotic citizen should want our country to become a playground for money laundering, narco-trafficking, or foreign interests, whose objectives do not align with the peace and prosperity of our people. No patriotic citizen should want our international reputation destroyed because the leaders refuse to recognize the dangers that are gathering around us. The Western Hemisphere is America's neighborhood. And history has taught us repeatedly that when tensions rise in this hemisphere, small nations like ours can easily become casualties. If we are not careful, responsible, and strategically aligned, my Straight Talk family, we will be in trouble. So, the message I brought from Washington, D.C. was unmistakable. As I said, the geopolitical landscape of the Western Hemisphere is shifting. And my trip to Washington, D.C. reaffirmed that the future of the Western Hemisphere will ultimately be shaped by those who defend democracy, strengthen regional partnerships, and place national interests above ideological convenience. And that's my story tonight. I am not going to change it. I must thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I want to thank you, all those who called, those who sent emails. I overlooked my emails. How could I do that? My Straight Talk family, all of you who called, all of you who sent emails, you are the ones who make Straight Talk. And this email I miss. Patches, don't even worry about that caller. He's just chatting a heap of crap without facts. He's talking about the cruise ship's pier is not important. How could we have accommodated the world's largest cruise ships and multiple ships berthing at the same time? Some people just like to talk, but they don't know their head from their backside. Just like those set up jokers on the so-called Grounding show. You could have heard them last week, chatting a lot of crap about they're gonna use you like a puppet. Every week, they keep ignoring what is going on right here in our own backyard. They talk about what's happening in other people's country and talking about Trump. All these people who chatting crap about you, if they really know you, they will know that no one can use you like no puppet, because you are not a stupid man like July. It seems like a lot of people are afraid of what you might uncover out there and the information we might get about our country and other islands in the region. Patches, I wish you all the best and may God continue to bless you. What a note to end on. I almost missed this email. But yes, I have received information, and my Straight Talk family, information that I can't speak about. But lots of things are gonna happen. We will hear about lots of things as well, my Straight Talk family. But just to remind you that come this Friday, my first interview with Dean Cain will be aired on Proud Sounds of America, Proud American Studios, beg your pardon, and on X. And this is a trailer from that interview.
How are you, sir?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
Very wonderful. You're peaceful. I love that.
Yes.
I wish I could be peaceful all the time.
At peace with your God?
Yeah, I'm at peace with my God.
At peace with yourself?
Sometimes.
I'm at peace with the world.
I'll buy that in a heartbeat. I like that.
So that interview with Dean Cain will be aired on www.proudamercanstudios.com and on X this coming Friday. Until then, my Straight Talk family, until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, You got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday.